Good afternoon, everyone. I know I'm the second last child and we have one more waiting. And you know what happens, when you are the last child or the second last. Parents are tired, almost giving up, and say, figure out. And I think what I'm going to say will not take very much time, so I know that you have your share. I think we've been experiencing an excellent example of the way we are culturally. Just the idea of time. Look at the way we are managing it the last 2 days. And we start late. We overuse the time. We move away from our topic. Figuratively how Indians communicate is bzzz. We are like the jilbi. But the point will be there, but the listener has to figure out a lot of time. And we slip into the next session, and we expect you to compromise your lunchtime. Or, of course, people will eat lunch, and then for the next session, people walk in almost half an hour late. We have been officially declared as the second most difficult relocation countries. Not because we are very bad people. We are a very nice, highly hospitable, incredible India, Aditi Devo Bhava culture. But I think the complexities of how we function, I think throws challenges. And NASSCOM, I call them our official conscience keeper and a crap detector, has already told that, the way we, train our graduate students have already shown us a red card. And also now we say that political borders are still debated and we're still fighting over the lines. But we know that the business borders have blurred long ago. So we have been left with no choice but to understand each other. I come from us very much working in a school. I head a school, the Orchid School. But what is interesting is that I work from the KG to the PG, the old, cliche. Like I said, I work also with the corporate culture, especially with the joint collaborations, multinationals, and JVs. And what we take it for granted is that technology is the same. How it works in Germany, probably the same machinery would work exactly the same way. But we forget that it is a human who are operating the technology are the ones who really decide how effectively our production lines are set on. So that's where a very niche skill that I bring in. And also the last 2 days that we have debated, we have invariably talked about the higher education predominantly as the engineering and very little, of course, of management. The technology education seems to be overshadowing all the other streams of education. But thankfully, we all have agreed that even technology students need to have the soft skills. And today, all our educational institutions are talking about this one shot in the arm, kind of, we have this soft skill training. So like you said, there are so many trainers, certified, uncertified, who come in for the weekend kind of training. And we believe that our students are ready for the soft skills. And I think that's where I see an education as a very continuing paradigm where you have actually to start with, if you're really talking about soft skills, you're talking about students experiencing it through the years and definitely escalated to the secondary level, and then it goes on to the higher level. Also, we believe that culture operates only massively at the corporate level. Of course, the stakes are very high because you're talking about, time is money. Especially in corporate culture, you say time is money, and in rest of our cultural context, we say time is there for us to control. They don't control, time doesn't control, but it's for us to enjoy. We bring in the mindset of a very agricultural, it's there at the back of our mind, it's in our behavior. that, when the sun comes up, we'll see how to work, and when the sun goes down, we stop working. But we know today that world is flat and the time is not really regulated with that attitude that we say every minute is money. But at the same time, our students need to understand that when you work with the corporate culture, the skills are very, very different from when you work with the social sector and when you work with the government sector. So the skills as such, in terms of working with communications, working with attitude of leadership, or whether it is a situational culture, all this varies from different sectors. Just want to take you through just 2 slides or 3 slides so that you get a summary of it. I think it's very eloquently captured as to what is needed in this new and increasingly complex world. Is a new language of global business. And again, we need to see whether you are in a technological education field or management education field, or even the mainstream science and arts and commerce. I think what's important is that you have to have an interdisciplinary approach. But I think what we need to look at is the international mindset. I think you had very beautifully attributed to that. We are talking about a global competency model that you need to bring into your classroom, especially with the higher education. And we are talking about the 4 key literacies. Let me just elaborate it very quickly. We're talking about, first is the personal literacy skill, is knowing yourself. I think we have often done a SWOT for nation states, and we have done it for organizations, but I think also we need to help our graduate students to see where they are in terms of their own personal literacy, in terms of knowing their own self. And we are talking about the social literacy, and I think we all, our workspaces, have realized that you could be an individual performer, but if you're not a group player, you're out. And I think increasingly we need to move from a highly, extremely competitive, this one topper that we all celebrate about, to see whether this person could be a group player. So that's another very important skill that has been underplayed at our university education. We need to look at that. And I think the third important is the business literacy. I think our students need to know, like I said, there is a governmental organization culture, there is a social sector organization culture, and there is an Indian corporate organization culture, and then there's a multinational organization culture. Often in multinational organizations, it's a headquarters culture that is transmitted, but a lot of time we know it's inappropriate, and we have seen the businesses collapsing. And I think right now an excellent example of the way that we are mismanaging what's happening with Maruti, that you see that there is a corporate culture that comes from another culture and tries to superimpose it on the local culture. And I think our students could get an idea of how organization cultures are constructed. And I think this is the most important thing that we are kind of undermining, and we have seen examples of, even in World Bank, even in social sector, World Bank wrapping us, that we are not being able to, sometimes who do the time on task, we are not able to do effective planning. Our implementations are always overshot. Or if you look at the rehab work, in international funding organizations, you see that even our rehabilitation is not culture appropriate. I think tsunami rehabilitation support was an excellent example that in 42 degrees we had piles of flea sweaters and flea jackets that has come. Our assumption is that when you lose home, you lose everything. But I remember the fishermen saying that when we lose homes, we don't lose our self-identity. So I think even a culturally appropriate rehabilitation is the need of the hour, and I think we are looking at a lot of those examples. So I think very important is that we know that today our students are going to be part of a global network. They're going to be part of a multicultural team, that they are going to probably sit here and virtually they're going to be communicating with their American or a European or a Belgian partner. So how do you communicate? How do you get precise? How do you get the facts across? And how do you govern your body language? And how do you negotiate? And how do you solve conflicts? They're all getting very, very highly culturally influenced. So I think it's important that we take advantage of the multicultural teams that our students would be part of. Just look at the number of actual HR management processes that are really affecting the way that we would do business. I think whether you are let's say a student designing a hairdryer, I think you need to understand who is your customer, what's the cultural specifications of your customer, what's the preference of the customer, and how do you communicate so that you don't, in a culture that is going from a reverse reading, the very famous example of a culture goof up, I think all of you know, that there is a lady with a smiley face, there's a lady with a very hard, very suffering face, and there is an Aspro, and then there is a lady who is smiling. And you were to use this advertisement campaign in a culture which reads from the right to left, you could be a disaster in your marketing strategies. And I think it's important for us to understand that how cultures function. But more important for us is to see how the world views us. And I think we need to align. We don't have to turn ourselves inside out, or we don't have to have a feeling of low self-esteem. But it's important that we learn the skills of border crossing so that we are effective in our global playing. Thank you. Thank you so much.